Hey friends, it is day 3 of my birthday unboxings. This will go out on November 13th. I will officially be 46. And as I mentioned in the previous 2 videos, what I do every year is I will get an action figure that I usually wouldn't spend so much money on. Last year I got the She-Spawn action figure you see over my shoulder. This year I could not just find that one big purchase that I wanted. So what I did is I bought 3 action figures, all AEW Jazzwares wrestlers, 2 of which I've been really wanting to get. They were on my list, but they were a little bit out of my price range, normally out of my budget. In professional wrestling, a lot of times we don't really get to see the wrestler develop and grow, and we get to see the close to finished product when they hit TV. But this action figure of the guy I'm see today, I became a fan of his when he was on the independent wrestling scene, and he is dynamic. He's a big guy, but he has luchador. He can do luchador moves, powerhouse moves, very versatile, very one of the truly intimidating guys in professional wrestling. A lot of guys that you see, they have the model good looks in the builds, and this guy looks frightening and is frightening. I am talking about the House of Black's Brody King. So let's get this open here. I love the look they went here with. If you can get a good look at this face paint, the great detail in there, and that is reflected on the action figure. We have the cool chain. We don't have any entrance gear. We don't have the mask, but that's quite all right. So let's get into this guy and take a look at him. Brody King, he actually got into the wrestling business, I believe, in his 20s. It wasn't something he initially wanted to do. He's the lead singer of a band called God's Hate, a heavy metal band. And he got his training at, there we go, he got his training at the Santino Brothers Wrestling School. And, really just took to wrestling like a duck takes to water. A naturally big guy that was able to, use that size, to really create, something special in the wrestling business. And, like I said, even with his size, he can do hurricanranas, he can work the luchador style. And so when I do these unboxings, I like to cover 3 points. I start with the appearance. How does it look? Is it close to the actual character? Then we move on to articulation. How does it move? And then after articulation, we go to accessories. So let's get into it. First off, with the appearance, I really like this figure. With Brody King, you have a lot to cover. From the full body tattoos to, he has a very specific look. He's not going to be a guy that you're just going to pull a mold out of off of a shelf that you would use for another wrestler and make. He has a very unique build that they capture very well. I think they could have probably made him a little bigger, but it is still a big, weighty figure. And they captured all of the tattoo details to perfection. Incredible. And something I'm even noticing here with the hair, even. Let's see if we can get close up there. You can actually see the individual hair, and it is sculpted. And so we have very detailed sculpted hair in the back and even the top of the head, something that a lot of companies will not pay attention to. And so that is very cool. And then that face paint, look at that. It looks very organic. You can see the scratch marks in the paint on the cheek like it is on the cover. Um, if I were to rank this, I would give the appearance a 10 out of 10. This is literally one of the most incredible wrestling action figures I've had in my hand, period. Be it Mattel, Jazzwares, Hasbro, this is an incredible piece. You even look at the beard, the way that the paint is uneven, like the way they kind of splash it in there and it shows up differently on every strand. A great, great, great looking action figure. We have the taped wrist to go down to the taped hands. And then on the back of the trunks, we have Brody. Um, we have big knee pads, a little bit softer rubber than you'll get with the Mattel knee pads. And they're bulky, but it looks like it's not going to affect the articulation too much because we have that Y cut out here. So we'll get to that when we get to articulation. Um, yeah, we have that right there. It looks like, okay, yeah, there is a weird thing going on with the hip to the abdomen, ab, abdominals. Wow, I'm gonna leave that in there. That's funny. I suck at words sometimes. But you see that there's some space here in between the hip and abdominal joint, but we know that these guys do come apart pretty easily for convenience sake, so you can mix and match when you have multiple Jazzwares figures. I don't know if that's a mistake or if it's just a way to keep the mobility with the higher trunks. So I've already jumped ahead. I've already started talking about articulation in the appearance section. So let's just get to it. Let's get to the articulation. We have the ball joint head, which is actually surprisingly mobile with this big beard. It moves around very well. Then we go down to the shoulders. We have the ball jointed shoulder. We have a cut between the bicep and the shoulder for left to right movement, horizontal. Double jointed elbows. And then we have the hands, they come on and off. They move back and forth. They're a little bit stiff, but they do have the hinge to go back and forth. You could loosen those up with a little bit of hot water, or as I always suggest, setting it right next to the vent on my laptop, heats it up nice without damaging the paint or the plastic. And you don't have to worry about getting it wet. So you can loosen those up and those will be just fine. Um, Going down to the torso, we have a double joint swivel right here on top, and then the hip actually, like I said, moves around here. We have a lot of space right here between the trunks and the abdominals, but it seems to increase movement, so I'll let it slide. But it almost looks like they were expecting the abdominal piece to be bigger than what it was. And there's just a lot of looseness right here. I've never seen that in an action figure before, so I don't know. It perplexes me, but it doesn't take away from the quality of the figure. And of course, we have a little left to right, but not too much. It gets a little bit stiff there. And then as we go down to the legs, between the leg and the hip, we have the ball joint. We have a thigh cut for horizontal left to right movement. We have the double jointed knees. Let's see how much motion we can get. Okay, I like this. If you watch my reviews of wrestling action figures, you know that knee pads are the bane of my existence. I hate big knee pads. Certain figures, like my old Batista figure, I just cut the damn knee pads off because you have this double jointed articulation, but you can get that much room on it. it's a waste of articulation. But here it's not so bad. I mean, we can get almost a full double jointed kickback, more than what you would really need for posing. Um, yeah, so I like what they're doing with the knee pads. They're big, bulky, yet very soft, and in the back it has a big cutout here that goes, the cut goes right here through the middle, leaves a lot of room, and you have, it goes around the calf and the thigh with absolutely nothing in between. And so we can take advantage of the full movement there. Love that. And then we have the cut right above the boot for horizontal movement, left and right. And the feet go back and forth, side to side. And so it's the standard Jazzwares articulation. I dig it. So let's talk about accessories. We have the chain with a lock on it. And we have extra hands that are fist. And the fists are taped just like the open hands. Kind of sparse on accessories, but that's okay. That's not why you bought it. I mean, you can complain about accessories, but you cannot complain about the job they did on this action figure. I mean, it's damn near a piece of art that I would hold up to any of my McFarlane Spawn action figures. Tremendously beautiful action figure. So what I want to do is let's compare them to first his forever foe, Darby Allin. These guys have made a ton of money throwing each other around and brutalizing each other and doing horrible things to each other in a wrestling ring. And if you compare, the size of the two action figures, it is, fairly accurate. He's towering over Darby. You know, I'm not sure what the specific heights are, but I know that Darby is, a little bit shorter and definitely slighter competitor than the average wrestler. And Brody is big and bulky. Um, I know that this Darby Allin figure is actually very true to, hit the way he looks. And, looking at him, like I said, I think that the Brody King action figure we could do could be a little bit weightier in the lower torso, but that's quite all right. Passes the smell test and it looks great next to his biggest rival. So we take a look at that. Let's take a look at his stablemates from the House of Black. Now, I do not have the AEW versions of these guys. So we're not going to be looking at Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews, but we will be looking at Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. We got the Mattel Elite action figures of these guys from their time in WWE. And it's not really too much different. It's surprising how well this adds up, measures up. Because in my opinion, the Jazzwares AEW figures scale a little bit bigger than the Mattel WWE figures. But we're taking a look at this. We know that Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black are not the tallest guys, and this looks about accurate from the way they appear to each other. So that's pretty cool. I think the biggest difference is Buddy Matthews is considerably bigger, muscularity wise, than Buddy Murphy. This is back when he was a cruiserweight. Actually, right after his time as a cruiserweight, when he was on SmackDown. And again, the same thing with the Aleister Black figure. And his guys, Malachi Black now, he definitely has put on a little bit more musculature, a little bit bigger guy. And so it'll be interesting to get the newer versions of these guys and do a comparison of the old WWE Mattel versions and the new AEW Jazzwares versions of Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black. Like I said, I would estimate they would be a little bit bigger, and I think they would be bigger than even the Mattel versions, just because of that scaling difference. But you get these guys in the picture. They scale up right. The only difference is that the new Malachi and Buddy, they have a lot more of a gothic heavy metal appearance that matches Brody to a T. And so I probably will add those guys to my collection. I was debating it back and forth, but I think I will. So that has been my thoughts on this action figure. Like I said, if you know, one of the best looking wrestling action figures, if not the best looking wrestling action figure, um, I have in my collection. Um, I would say probably it, ranks up there with the Boss Fight Studios Taya Valkyrie action figure. And it's always great to see, a guy that, like I said, I've been a fan of his from before he was signed to a major company, and to see how much he's grown as a performer. And now he's on the big stage doing his thing every Wednesday and Saturday night. Um, Very cool. And so this is going to end the birthday unboxings. Day one, we have my Eddie Kingston Walmart exclusive. And then day two, we have the Daniel Garcia. And then we're ending with Brody King. And I am 46 years old today. Stay tuned for the unboxing. I'm not sure if I'm going to post this to come out before or after the regular Wednesday unboxing. But I do my Coffee and Comic unboxings every Wednesday. And so stay tuned for that. Take a look at that. And I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep buying them figs. I am out.